Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Baltany A11 reference S182031. This watch is available from Baltany Watches official store on AliExpress for €232. So firstly, let's look at the travel case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a piece. So the watch comes in this Baltany branded hardshell travel case. I'll show you the interior. As you can see, both halves of the hardshell travel case are lined with two foam panels, so it does a good job of protecting the watch and shipping from any damage. I like this hardshell travel case. They're very practical and durable, and they make a refreshing change from the default option of using a plastic or cardboard watch box. With regards to the other items, this is the owner's instruction manual, clear concise diagrams. The instructions are in English, and it details the operation of the movement used, which is the Seiko NH38 automatic. And lastly, one also gets this plastic guarantee card. As you can see, the reverse is filled in with the date of purchase and stamped by Baltany Watches. I'm pleased to report this A11 is covered by a 2-year international warranty. Usually watches at this price point are only covered by a 12-month international warranty, so to get a 2-year warranty is very good. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Baltany A11 reference S182031. The watch is clearly an homage to the A11, which was a military issued piece, issued to the United States Army Air Force in World War II. It was also used by the RAF, the Royal Air Force, and the RCAF, the Royal Canadian Air Force. So, very similar proportions to the original A11. We have a 36mm case diameter. We have a 44mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 13mm, and a lug width of 18mm. The genuine leather strap tapers from 18mm at the lugs down to the sterile buckle and tang. I'm going to be critical of this because this is €232, and really at this price point it's wholly unacceptable to have a sterile buckle. It should be engraved with the Baltany brand logo. It should be signed at this price point. This is a clear cost-cutting measure. But having said that, the 316L grade stainless steel buckle is mirror polished to a high standard, no sharp edges, no burrs, flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks. On the genuine leather strap we have two keepers, one slides, one's fixed as one would expect, and as you can see on the end of the strap we have contrasting white stitching, which complements the contrasting white stitching at the spring bar end. I'll show you the undersides of the strap. Perfectly flat and smooth on the underside, embossed with genuine leather, plenty of holes in it to allow for fine-tuning the length. It's a thick leather strap, but it does feel very soft and supple, which is indicative of the calf leather to be very high grade. So I like the grained finish to it. It does match the aesthetic of this being an A11 field watch homage. Personally, I would prefer a thinner leather strap, which would be more soft and supple, but however it is good quality. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating, top hat style profile to the crystal, nice characteristic distortion to it when one tilts the piece at an oblique angle, and the clear AR coating does a good job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the thick top hat style crystal. The dial layout follows the classic A11 dial layout. We have large Arabic numerals which are fully loomed with C3 superluminova, and we also have a 60-minute tick indexed chapter ring, and periodically at 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 we also have Arabic numerals on the chapter ring as per the original A11 dial layouts. Nice matte black dial which does complement the peach coloured patina loom. The hands are sword style and they are fully loomed, and I like the attention to detail because the tip of the sweeping second hand is also patina loom coloured. It's C3 superluminova. So legibility and symmetry is very good as per the original A11, which this is an homage to. However, I'm going to be critical of the text on the dial because below automatic we have 660 feet equals 200 meters. This isn't a dive piece. The A11 was a field watch used by the US Army Air Force, so therefore there's no need to put the water resistance rating on it as per a dive piece. We don't need to know it's 200 meters water resistance. I appreciate from Baltany's perspective it is a selling point to state that it's 200 meters, but I think they should have engraved it on the caseback rather than printing it on the dial. With regards to the bezel, it's fluted, as you can see, curved profile to the fluted bezel. A11s were produced with smooth bezels and they also use this curved profile of fluted bezel. It's finished very well, no sharp edges to it, and I like the way the fluted bezel catches the light. With regards to the crown, coin edge finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, mirror polished domed cap to it, and it's sterile as per the original A11. So let's test the screw down crown execution. Absolutely silky smooth, very good interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. In the first position is the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the NH38 to top it up to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. Absolute pleasure to manually wind the NH38. So, as it's an NH38 rather than 35A, there's no date setting position. So pulling it out to the first click position is the final position on the crown. It's the time setting position. Credit where credit's due, Baltany have made the correct decision by using the 38 rather than the 35A, because if they'd used the 35A, it would have had a phantom date setting position and the dates wheel would have been present underneath the dial. So the 38 is the correct choice for a no date piece. So, firm resistance to the gearing in the 38, it feels exactly the same as the 35A, no discernible difference in the feeling, no backplay, clockwise and anti-clockwise, it feels like a good tight movement. If you look closely at the second hand, you can see I've now stopped it dead. It's possible to hack the movement to set the time precisely to the second. Pushing it back in restarts the movement, and as you can see, the second hand will begin to sweep around the dial once again, so just bear with me and I'll push it back in. So as you can see, the second hand begins to sweep around the dial once again. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding screw down crown execution. It's something that Baltany do very well. I've reviewed several of their pieces, and consistently the quality control and the build quality of their screw down crowns is very good. So 200 meters hermetic seal is very strong specification. Really, at this price point, and also bearing in mind this is an A11 homage, one would expect it to have a push-pull crown, 50 metres or 100 metres of water resistance. To get 200 metres is very strong specification. With regards to the Caseback, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel. Now, again, I'm going to be critical of this because they've engraved some nonsense on the Caseback. There's no need to have Army Watch Type A11. The watch is clearly an homage to the A11. One doesn't need to engrave Army Watch. We all know that the A11 was a military-issued piece. And also, they've engraved some irrelevant specification number and also irrelevant manufacturer's part number. We don't need to have this engraved on the Caseback. These aren't the reference numbers. They aren't the model number of the piece. The reference number of this watch is S182031, and we don't have S182031 engraved on the Caseback. Instead, we have a nonsense specification number and a nonsense manufacturer's part number. So really, I think that they should have deleted all of this nonsense and simply put Baltany A11 or Baltany S182031, which would make sense. But looking at this subjectively, the stainless steel Caseback is finished to a good standard. We've got concentric CNC lathe tool machining, and I like the way the concentric machining refracts the light, as you can see, very aesthetically pleasing. And we've also got curved fluted finishing to the circumference, which matches the curved fluted bezel. So very aesthetically pleasing, and it does do a good job of being an homage to the A11. The underside to the head of the piece is flawless mirror polished to a high standard, no sharp edges, no burrs to the edge of the case or the lugs, so it's very well finished. The quality of the mirror polishing to the tops of the lugs and the flanks of the case is done to a high standard, and they deserve full credit for this. Now, personally, I think this would have looked better with brass satin finishing throughout, bearing in mind it's a field watch. However, the original A11s from World War II had brass cases, and the brass cases were chrome plated to make them silver and look like stainless steel. So I appreciate that Baltany is trying to replicate the original look of the brass cased A11s, which were chrome plated. It does look like a chrome plated brass watch, but this is made from solid stainless steel, and they could have brass satin finished it, and really as a field watch it would have looked better in brass satin finish rather than mirror polished as per a dress watch. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot, and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now this is going to be a tight fit because the strap is a fraction too short, as I'll show you, but I want to try and engage the tang in the end of the strap, so just bear with me. There we are. So as you can see, the leather strap is just a fraction too short for my 8-inch wrist. Clearly at 36mm, this piece is suited for collectors with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, so I'm not going to be overly critical of the fact the strap is too short. It will fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist. So as you can see, it's a 36mm head of the piece, which is too small for my 8-inch wrist. It's really suited to collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist. If you have a 7 to 8 inch wrist, I think you'll find that this is too small and doesn't wear with enough wrist presence. It's also got a relatively short lug to lug measurement of 44mm, as you can see. Very snug fit to the wrist as per the A11. So they've done a good job with the proportions. 36mm by 44 is very close to the original. Also, they've made the correct decision by using an 18mm lug width. There's a slight taper on the genuine leather strap from 18 down to the buckle and tang, so the proportions of the leather strap are correct. It's 13mm tall, including the top hat double dome crystal, so it will just fit underneath a shirt cuff if you intend to wear it with business shirts as a daily wear piece. I like the distortion of the double dome sapphire crystal, and I like the top hat profile to it. The AR coating works very well, and the peach tone of the patina loom contrasts very well with the matte black dial, so the legibility is very good. The symmetry of the dial is very good as per the A11. So it fits very close to the wrist. The flat profile to the stainless steel caseback does feel very comfortable. Now, on a positive note, the thing I most like about this is it's only 65 grams on the leather strap, so it's an incredibly lightweight piece, and it feels like a quartz powered piece despite this being an NH38 automatic. They deserve full credit for getting this down to only 13mm with a top hat crystal, because usually automatic pieces with a rotor, such as this NH38 powered piece, they need to be thicker. This is the kind of thickness I would expect with a quartz powered piece or a manual wind piece, so it really is good that it's only 13mm and it only weighs 65 grams. So comfortable piece to wear for long periods of time, although the strap is too short for larger wrists such as 8 inches. Right, so let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This has actually exceeded my expectations, because I expected the large Arabic numerals to be fully loomed with C3 superluminova. However, I didn't expect the minute ticks on the chapter ring and the Arabic numerals on the chapter ring at 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 respectively to also be loomed. These sword hands are also fully loomed, as you can see, and they work very well. One can clearly orientate the dial, and even the tip of the sweeping second hand has C3 superluminova on it. One can see the second hand sweeping around the dial. So the legibility is outstanding, it's glowing brightly, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. This is clearly 5 to 6 layers of C3 superluminova, rather than using a cost-cutting measure of 2 to 3 layers. So Baltany have used top grade C3, and also they've applied 5 to 6 layers, and they deserve credit for this because it is very good performance. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You'll all be familiar with the Seiko NH38 automatic. It's a personal favourite of mine, and as I've discussed, they've made the correct decision by using the 38 rather than the 35A, which has a date complication. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. It has 24 joules. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hagging, which is useful complications. 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable. The stated accuracy of the NH38 is -20 to +40 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, this one has been very well regulated, and it's running consistently at +7 seconds per day, which is well within the -20 to +40 seconds per day stated accuracy. +7 per day is perfectly acceptable. So it's a reliable, well-proven movement. The build quality is good, the reliability is good, and the quality control. No negatives to the NH38 whatsoever, and of course the main positive is the lack of a phantom date setting position as per the 35A, as I've discussed. I like the fact the crown only has one click on it for setting the time. One doesn't need a date complication setting position. So correct choice for this movement. And no negatives with regards to the thickness, because even with a top hat crystal, as you can see, this is still only 13mm overall. If it were in excess of 13mm, it would be too tall for a 36mm head of the piece and therefore wear top heavy, but at only 65 grams, it really does feel weightless on wrist. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. €232 is the price point of this piece. I think it's expensive. I think it's overpriced. So therefore I'm going to declare the value poor. To make this more competitive, I think they should reduce the price of the piece to 100 to 150 euro, and therefore that would make it more competitive. I appreciate the specification is strong because we've got top grade C3 superluminova, AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, screw down crown, screw down caseback. So 200 meters is strong specification, but really 100 to 150 euro is the correct price of this piece. 232 is pushing it because it doesn't come on a bracelet, it just comes on this leather strap, and there are evidence of cost-cutting measures like the sterile buckle and tang rather than being signed, for example. With regards to quality, yes, the quality is excellent. The specification is strong, build quality, quality control, and specification throughout is very good. The screw down crown is silky smooth, so there are no QC issues whatsoever. So I'm going to say it's poor value but excellent quality, and I want you to bear in mind the shortcomings such as the strap. So I'm going to recommend it to you for your consideration, but bear in mind that it's an expensive piece, and also bear in mind the shortcomings. Hope you've enjoyed my review of the Baltany A11 reference S182031. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.